Thanda matlab basi. Only leftovers are put in the refrigerator. That was 10 years back. And now I say chilled is a new fresh. Frozen today has stopped being a taboo.
Yes.
And shows green shoots of being accepted.
What's the one product that you think is still overpriced?
Newer ideas like detergent pods or period panties. We think consumer is so ready, unnecessarily keeping them overpriced is missing an opportunity. From Mr. Ambani, the sheer audacity of scale.
Yes.
The fearlessness to do everything at India scale and global scale. It's the thing I would take from him. I love what quick commerce is doing because there is always a planned part of the basket and there is always a top-up part of the basket. So top-up has become super powerful and zingy with quick commerce, etc. But the planned basket stays.
Today's guest is someone who knows exactly what you buy, when you buy, and maybe even why. Mr. Damodar Mall isn't just the CEO of Reliance Retail's grocery business, he is a storyteller of the Indian consumer. From kirana shops to data driven insights, he sees patterns where most of us just see packets of chips. If you have ever wondered how culture, habits, and business intersect in the Indian grocery aisle, this one's just for you. So let's get right into it. So, Damodar, good morning, and thank you so much for being in my show. And thank you so much for nudging me to do in the shop floor. I think after years, some fresh memories to be here.
Darshana, welcome to the Smart Bazaar in Mumbai.
Yes.
And I'm looking forward to the chat with you.
Awesome. So I always want to begin from the roots because, when my listeners, today's generation who's really that, instant gratification, but everything starts from the roots. And Damodar, you are like a fantastic resume. I am IIT in those days in the 80s, and a lot of your batchmates, I'm sure the American dream was happening and they were moving out. What got you to still be here? And, in those days?
Simple answer, everybody makes mistakes. No, with the benefit of hindsight, two things are clear. I came up from a very, very humble beginnings. I grew up in a Mada colony in Mumbai and used education as my jetpack to give me the ejection velocity to move up in life. And in that sense, to come out of IIT and say I will apply my skills in that time, $300 per capita
Correct.
Playground like India versus a $20,000 per capita playground like the US. In hindsight, it's a no-brainer. If you don't have other capital, which is community capital, your family backing, etc., then that would have been nicer. But things have turned out fine. I also believe that the whole entrepreneurial and out of the trajectory things that I've done would have had a more fertile context in the US market because the playground there is global.
Correct. True.
Yeah, but haven't done badly for myself.
No, you've done.
even amongst batchmates, including people who are who have chosen the global path. Quite happy on the way life is rewarded both materially as well as on reputation and learnings.
No, absolutely. You're full masterclass people like us, and I'm sure all the listeners are glad you are here because you're full, the supermarket masterclass that I am sitting, you are like a guru over there. You often speak about the early lessons of retail. So where did that, because I read that you had your own family shop or a store that where you've grown up and then you were, seeing consumers over there. So is that what got your interest in retail and grocery, or how did that bug kick in?
Oh, not at all. Yeah, I come from a business community. I come from the Marwadi community. So therefore, everybody in their cousins and uncles in my family were business people, small, big, of various kinds. So yeah, there was business and trading and uh, uh, making more money with opportunities
Yes.
was what I was surrounded by. But no, retail didn't happen to me growing up. Retail happened to me in far off places, which is now part of a chapter of my book. It happened to me in Brazil, in Sao Paulo.
Yes, I've read
That's
of
where
it.
it happened. Yeah.
So that was your first, because you were in Unilever and all of that, but that was your first. And what excited you about that?
No, so Unilever and its projects and its training took me to different parts of the world. One had seen these modern supermarkets, etc., only in rich places, yeah,
Correct.
Europe and North America, etc. What happened in Brazil is I found places like ours, people that I could relate to economically and culturally, also shopping, and then stores like this, of this size, where women would come to the store in buses, and with bags full would go back in what we would call here in the Indian context a share auto. They would go back like that.
Yes.
And I said, if it can work there, why can it not work in India? So that's where the penny dropped for me uh, about retail.
And you started with the DMart in your initial years. So what was your journey like then? Because after seeing all that, because see, so I also remember, Damodar, when I was in my retail career, used to travel, when with Hypercity, Shopper Stop. But the kind of the per capita and the buying that you see in these countries, whether UK, Europe, was still not there in India, even those, that time. So what really then got you excited? Like, where did you make a start?
Yeah, so you know, if something is a proven opportunity that everybody else can see, then the entrepreneur in me says it's already useless. It's only when it feels risky, it's only when it feels that the market is not ready, is an idea really valuable.
Nice. There's
If
an
if
edgy and
yeah,
challenge.
if
Yeah.
half the people don't call you stupid, then you go and look for another idea. That's how I see it. So you never get the timing right by analyzing and reading. Timing is always a call that you make to yourself. So yeah, I came back from Sao Paulo, and I was still very much happy at Levers, and I said, uh, knowing how retail and the power migrates to the front end, why can't Hindustan Lever forward integrate into retail? And therefore, I created a business plan for something that was Annapurna supermarkets.
Oh, nice.
So forward, like Lakme has Lakme salons.
Correct, correct.
Can a food brand like Annapurna be also the supermarkets? And then the business plan was put together, and uh, my super boss at that time, Mr. Dadu Seth, got very excited and said, "Let's do it." Uh, we did another khufia plan saying, if it is not allowed by Unilever, we'll quietly do it in Dhulia and not tell anyone. And when it works, we will then showcase it to the world. So that is how retail started in my life. And well, that was not to be. I mean, Unilever doesn't want to be in its customers' business. So then I moved out, but the idea stayed, and I had already done the work at the gym, so I developed muscle for retail. And yeah, then I took it to someone to say, back my idea, and I will create modern retail. Yeah, wanted to follow the same toolkit as Sam Walton had done.
Yes.
And that's how it began.
The whole made in America. Absolutely. I think all of us have grown on that kind of, and the way he's done it. So that's when you got into DMart, and that's where you initially, or where did
So
you start?
I took the idea uh, to Mr.
Mr.
Damani,
Damani.
and he said, "Chalo, I have a place. Chalo karte hain." And again, we followed the Sam Walton toolkit. Is when you are learning do it under the cover, do it as a franchise of a brand, so that you can make your mistakes faster and
Learn
yet there
fast.
is a cover and learn faster. So we did that. I found a teacher of mine who was associated with Apna Bazaar at that time, the cooperative.
Correct.
Sold them the idea that franchising is a good idea to the Apna Bazaar leadership team, and then started as a franchise of Apna Bazaar in Navi Mumbai, in Nerul. Uh, learned our way through, and it was successful from day one. And how went through that, kept upping our plans, kept upping our ambition, because the customer told us that we were underpitching, we were underplaying this thing. So that store would physically expand every few quarters. So we
Nice.
eventually trebled the size of the store from where we started, and then other sites came up and things like that. So yeah, so that's where I learned, and then uh, uh, multiple sites happened. Uh, but during those days is when I did everything in retail, from running the cash till to inverting goods, to changing layouts, to stacking the shelves myself, and to recruiting my first team member onwards. So that was a zingy part of my starting.
Amazing, no? So just rolling up your sleeves and actually doing everything at that time. And yeah, the shop floor experience, because I know when I started, and Damodar, really at that era also. So I'm talking about when I started my first job, first role in modern retail was with Shoppers Stop. And that time I was also on the floor as a team leader. Not one of the jobs which people thought, and I also come from a Gujarati community, so not something that people loved modern store shopping, but not unlike the US, and that you selling over there was not something really looked upon. So did you face something like that from your
Oh,
family?
oh, very much, totally. So what happens is, in our community, the boy of the family who fails 10th standard,
हाँ,
उसके लिए दुकान खोल देते हैं.
करेक्ट, हाँ वही
Yeah, yeah.
वही
So
गले पे लगता है.
my grandmother and my uncle said, first you don't get into business, you go for education, you do this, high funder education.
Correct.
So we think you're going to do something in technology and things like that. Then you go on to sell soap with Unilever. You say, no, it's a multinational global company. It's got, that's what management is about and things like that. We accept it. And from there now, from soaps, now you go on to selling salt and sugar. But even if you had failed 10th standard, we would have opened a shop for you and given it to you. So it's been like that. But I again say this, that if you do something that people don't expect, and that is where people question you, at least you have a shot at discontinuity, you have a shot at glory. So
Right.
that's where it is. So this is a pattern of my life. Always do something outside your comfort zone and continue to do so.
But do you see the reason why the international, when the giants, when they came in India and they didn't succeed? Prima facie, because what you said, and I remember I was working in Hypercity with some of and a lot of global guys would come to us as a training ground. One of the constant line that I would hear is that Indian consumer wants 5-star service at 2-star price, because very demanding, unlike global, and but you also are very, very price sensitive. And is that the formula that they didn't get? Because a lot of them came in India, but the Walmart came in and all of that tried, but eventually they couldn't succeed. So what is the reason?
So this is stepping back a little. Large emerging markets don't copy what previously emerged markets have done. And this is what I learned in retail, contrary to what I was told in my Unilever days, saying we know what will
Interesting.
happen when per capita income goes up. Yeah. So very unlikely parallel. But there was a time when Europe was the emerged market,
Right. Yes.
and the US was this very large emerging market. And half the consumers physically went from the developed market into Europe,
Correct.
into US at that
US.
time. It is a large enough market. It followed a very different track of consumer behavior. Nobody eats fish and chips.
Yes,
Yeah.
in US.
People don't even wash their clothes the same way. Yeah. So large emerging markets assert, and India has a cultural depth that it asserts. So even as it modernizes, it wants to modernize it as it becomes confident. As the Indian consumer becomes confident, she wants to modernize on her own terms,
Right.
and she wants to get more out of life. The business people and consumer model people have to figure out how to service this. In food, in fashion, in entertainment that we consume, even
True.
as incomes go up, we are not giving up our pani puri.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
giving up.
Even as in fashion, even as our silhouettes change, we are not moving to pastel shades.
Right.
Yeah. We are surrounded by bright colors.
Yeah, very-
We are all, even as our incomes increase, we consume content that tells our stories.
Right.
So, ये दुल्हन time लगाएगी. She will come on her own terms, and people have to learn to do this. So, people who have a setback are people who say, I have done it at 5,000 places across the world. Now I'm copy pasting the thing here, and I don't know whether I should relearn anything. That's where the problem is. But if somebody in India were to launch a KFC equivalent, on day one will say, but where is the vegetarian menu?
Yes.
Because the college kids who are coming to my place and they love my chicken nuggets, there will be a few people who will dislike, who will not like. And if I don't offer a vegetarian menu, then the group will break and I will not have the people coming in. So how much time you take to learn this is the choice that the brand has to make, or the format, or the retail format has to make. Customer will have her fries spiced. One way or the other, the format can take 20 years to
Yeah.
learn that. What I know for sure is Indian customer is premiumizing, and how.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But on her cultural terms. So if you, for example, in a store, Smart Bazaar like this, today I sell more big packs, half and 1 kg packs of dry fruits than I sell 5 and 10 kg packs of atta
Wow.
in quantities. So that is, I sell every year. I sell more kiwi fruits, more avocados, more blueberries.
Amazing.
What do people do? People do, when I'm doing well, I spend more money on fruits and dry fruit. Those are culturally approved things to do.
Is it also health that is coming in?
Brands don't get it.
Yes.
Yeah. So what is health is also culture driven.
Culture.
What is health? Health is a mom in Amritsar saying, instead of the dahi paratha breakfast, for my family, I will make idli breakfast.
Wow. So
Yeah.
from the whole Italy has gone from south to north in the
Correct.
palette.
But that is traveling within the Indian cultural
Indian culture,
context.
of course.
People are not looking for solutions that are only coming from external sources. So whether it's retail model or products, those who listen to this consumer, and this consumer will make you sell cooked tea and filter coffee with positive attitude, with
Right.
modernity and uptrade. She will make you do that. So the faster we learn as business people, local or global, the more success we'll find, is the way I see this thing playing out.
No, and you're right, because McDonald's had to finally do aloo tikki burger, and Kellogg's struggled and finally they had to bring the whole masala and bring the oats, because oats coming on our breakfast table, or muesli or whatever, or even their cornflakes.
So right, because
Yeah.
the other insight in this, is which to an Indian person who listens to the consumer, is obvious, that for a large majority of us, milk is had hot, not
Yeah,
cold.
Not cold, yes.
And oats and muesli are hot milk friendly. But if you take 25 years to learn that, and today in our stores like this, muesli and oats are bigger than cornflakes and chocos. In the quantity we sell, value it's even
Wow.
higher because they are more premium products.
Premium.
So, but if you listen to the Indian consumer, they will tell you on day one
Absolutely.
that give me a hot milk solution.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that is one thing I used to always find. So when we would go to UK and see the Target stores and everything cold, aisles of cakes and aisles of things and salads and all and everything cold. And some of these things we actually tried because, I had the whole team which was from UK. So we went, we tried, and we also tried the potted plants to go, grow
Herbs.
the herbs, the coriander to basil and whatever. But it really didn't work for us finally in India.
But things change. The whole funda is if you stay 2 steps ahead of this consumer, Indian consumer, she walks half a step and holds her hand and she walks.
Correct.
If you pitch your product or service 6 steps ahead of her, she says, "आप अपने घर जाओ, मैं अपने घर जाता
I'll wait and watch.
हूं." Because she's asserting as much as that. So that's the way I look at it. And you pitched chilled and frozen products then, and that was when I wrote in my supermarket wala book, for India, thanda matlab basi.
Correct.
Only leftovers are put in the refrigerator. Yeah. And those things that are chilled are not bought in the store. Those things that are in the ambient are bought. That was 10 years back. And now I say chilled is a new fresh.
Absolutely.
But the Indian consumer graduated, but Hypercity lost steam just when the market is actually getting ready for it. So tune in and stay 2 steps ahead. And of course, as modern formats, you have to walk aspirational, and you have to walk ahead of the consumer. But 2-3 steps is a good idea, not 10 steps. You don't talk down to this Indian consumer. She has punished so many people. It's not funny.
That you're right. And you're right because that time the frozen food and we didn't have the kind of chillers that was needed at back then. But having said, the frozen today is so well accepted completely. And what we had back
Frozen today, and I speak like a practicing retailer, frozen today has stopped being a taboo.
Yes.
And shows green shoots of being accepted. Just about that.
It's
it
only
is
that initial.
far from being mainstream even today, and for a reason.
So if that's and that's what brings me to my next segue on the Indian consumer and how India has so many mini Indias and we all speak about it. So culturally, Damodar, when we were, and this is my Hypercity days, and I was at Whitefield, we had a large store because Hypercity was again a large format that they had bought again ahead of its time because the floor the sell-through was not really helping and supporting. And I realized even a store like Whitefield, culturally, what we initially, and again listening to consumers, we realized that we missed out the whole opportunity of a lot of Bengalis over there. And we didn't have Bengali kasundis and all of that, and we had to bring in. So these kind of smaller things in a Whitefield area of Bangalore, which is still more cosmo. So culturally, how it changes in every store for you. Have you seen that, and you really had to try a strategy and had to redo all over again?
No, so if you're a homegrown retailer, then you have this advantage that two neighbors, one Malayali and one Punjabi, will have a very different but very vehemently held idea about what base nutrition is about. The Malayali home will say, if you're not having red matta rice,
Right.
you're killing your health. Yeah. And the Punjabi household will be healthy and well eating and will not even know what red matta rice looks like. And that continues even when they are living in Gurgaon or Whitefield or Gachibowli or Navi Mumbai, which are all modern communities, cosmopolitan communities.
Yes.
So if you accept that, then it becomes easy for you. So there is no such thing as India strategy. There is no such thing as Kerala strategy.
Right. It's not a state strategy.
There is a North Kerala strategy. There is a mid Kerala strategy, and there is a South Kerala strategy because the communities are different. Forget that. There is no such thing as in Mumbai. There is no such thing as a sales mix for something as basic as food, uniform in Mumbai, and what we sell, the largest variety of rice and atta that we sell in island city of Mumbai or Matunga is very different from what I sell in Mira Road or I sell in Kalyan.
True.
And all it needs is to listen to the consumer and to say that this food is not carbs and protein and nutrients. Food is culture, food is stories, food is ghar ka khana.
Absolutely.
And the Bengali will have masoor dal, and the person from UP will have arhar dal. They will even in Mumbai they will refuse to call it tur dal.
Yes.
Because food carries meaning, food carries stories, and you need to respect that. So that's the way.
And this is really interesting that food is culture, food is meaning, food is your essence of what you are, what you are. You know, I know that even when you travel abroad, I still take my Gujarati theplas and all those things. So that's where it means a lot, even when you are traveling and you become a discerning consumer. So Damodar, that's really interesting. But so having said that, then how do you because you've been really focusing on this, listen to your consumers. Can you tell my listeners that how do you do that? What has been some of the tools or practices over the years that they can also, the new startups that they're coming up, how do they listen to their customers?
I think I envy today's startups and new retailers for the access to true information and data that they have. Because the consumer of today is more digitally literate,
Yes.
so she leaves her footprints for you to read what she likes, etc., all over the place. So that's very useful. Shopping is, stores are more digital. Therefore, you capture consumer behavior. 93.5% of anything that gets bought in stores like ours is tagged to a unique phone number.
Right.
So over a period of time, I can read everything through your shopping behavior. And such technologies, your behavior on the net, your consumption behavior in e-commerce, your consumption behavior in store, all this is now a transparent and digitally accessible stream of data which you can use for insight. So that's my area of envy. I learn a lot to make sure that is also part of my toolkit. But
The data gives you the obvious behavior. Yes, it gives you a lot, but there is a lot of unheard, unsaid, like you were saying.
yeah, so so if you want to succeed at scale, then you got to stand on top of
Of
robust
course.
data habits
Of
and
course.
analysis. But if you want to innovate and create the next practice,
Correct.
then looking at the behavior both digitally and in stores like this is what is critical. And then betting on a way some behavior will shape is the real key to this. And what it requires, what I find people miss often is when I'm looking at information, I'm very patient. I mine it, I massage it one way or the other. I sleep over it to figure out what can come out. I dissect it one way and different the next day. But when it comes to physical spaces, people come and behave like managers. They would come and walk this store. Our education and training does
Yes.
that. Walk this store for 15 minutes, find 3 things to improve, tell the team, and go away.
So true.
The trick that is missed is if you have to pick up insights, behavior insights, you have to walk the store at the speed of the consumer. That requires patience.
This is really
That requires
Yeah.
patience. Otherwise, on an average, you are not going to get anything.
Right.
It requires patience. It looks silly to you in the mind. I'm sure the kind of things I do, I look silly to even my team at times as to, I find a mother and daughter and I'm chasing them for 45 minutes, slowly,
Wow.
patiently across the store, because I believe if I find one nugget out of it, I will make 2,000 copies of it, and it'll become part of my strategy that others will not get. So if you want that edge in your practices and your strategy, then you got to walk the marketplace at the speed of the consumer. Is what I say.
Super insight, super awesome. Yes, walk at the consumer. When I am learning, because you're right. Otherwise, we're just trying to see the obvious, and retail is in detail. I remember my first grounding on the shop floor. I used to always hear BSN telling us, "Okay, retail is in detail. There is no so that detailing, that the nuances." But that's exactly what I wanted to pick more of your insights, because you've been innovation. You like doing these edgy. Where you said that behavior which you have to sort of, because Google wouldn't have happened had they only seen the obvious data and trying to see, or Uber wouldn't have happened.
Take what is culturally accepted in the Indian household,
Right.
modernize it, make it more convenient, rather than trying to change the Indian household's consumption habits. Just modernize it forward, and it'll work. So that's what makes us say that something as humble and simple as chapati is tradition in northern India, is modernity in southern India. So we said the time to bet on branded chapatis is now. Was there data to it? No. But we extend it from other behavior that people show in other categories. And we went and started working with startups in the state of Kerala, saying rice eating is tradition, chapati eating in Kerala is modernity.
Yes, wow, nice.
And the innate skills in the households to make good chapati doesn't exist, or
Correct.
exists less. I'm exaggerating to make a point.
Correct.
But we worked there with startups, and it started clicking really well. We were selling increasing quantities of branded chapatis, either chilled or in ambient, in Kerala. Then we started moving further. Once the idea is proven, now we are working with Ashirwad,
Wow, that's interesting.
who themselves would hesitate to say that no, India is not ready for
Not
this.
ready.
We said here is a proof of concept. We are working. So we're working with Ashirwad, again starting from Kerala and Tamil Nadu to sell rotis. And from there, we have now come up to Bangalore and Karnataka. And maybe in a year's time, it will be mainstream in the entire country.
And even the North Indians will
We
accept.
have done this to bhel, we have done this to chutneys, we have done this to batter.
You're right.
Batter in Amritsar, idli dosa batter in Amritsar, because in Madurai, idli dosa batter is my traditional food.
Staple.
In Chandigarh, it's modernity. So one person's tradition is other person's modernity, and this cross-fertilization in India can be infinite. So
Super.
when infinite, it can work. So that's the way we do it all the time.
Super insightful. This is I was reading a case study on Betty Crocker and the pancake, and also what I was very interesting is that when they actually originally they were trying to make it very convenient for the housewife, that you get your own time and everything was given, you just make it. That didn't work. I think they finally said, okay, you break an egg and put in, or you do that. That little bit that they want to do is what. And have you seen that kind of behavior in?
Always, and I've been around for a long time here. So 25 years, I've seen everybody saying that the era of just heat and eat meals has to come, will come.
Right.
Many companies have come and gone, and we sell, I'm modern retail, we sell a lot of this just heat and eat meals, but in our parlance, they are called NRI packs.
Yeah, they only when
or
you're traveling.
travelers packs.
Yes, traveler.
The insight is when I'm buying fully ready meals from brands, I'm surrendering my cultural preferences to standardization. What Indian families do, more women are working. People have better things to do with their time than do a fresh meal every day. All that is fine, correct? But Indian kitchens, even in younger households, are getting outsourced to other people.
Yes, there are cooks.
Yeah. The poha in my home and the poha in my neighbor's home is loved, but we say our poha is the best, our recipe is the best. If I outsource my kitchen to a brand, then both of us will have a standardized recipe of poha. When Sunita Didi is coming and making poha at home for me, my home teaches just the customized recipe that is loved by my family.
Right.
So when you outsource your kitchens to other people, you retain your preferences and your cultural assertions. Moving to brands is two notches down, and where you say, now it doesn't matter to me. I have other things to do in life. But Indian homes have found a solution that you can have it both. You can have fresh meals and fresh chapatis, warm chapatis for the meal, and have the tinda cooked the way you want it. I'm taking the worst vegetable name, but just the way you want it, because you still have the other people coming and cooking for you, rather than brands giving you just microwave it and eat
The standardized way.
solution.
I
So
think that's interesting because that's what's bringing to my next, conversation is on data. And this is hyper-personalization that you spoke about in our parlors, that you really are customizing for the family the way they like. And now sometimes in our kitchen, all of us have different asks.
yes,
Because one of us, like I'm constantly dieting. I'm dieting again, and my husband wants something, my son. So that's the kind of customization, and we don't want the same palette. So coming to that hyper personalization data, and the way you're saying the shopper behavior move, Damodar, how do you all use that at Reliance? Because data and really hyper personalizing, has retail reached to that n is equal to one kind of data and science behavior, like to Darshana, to Damodar?
yeah. I think it's like you said, you're dieting all the time, but every year you're dieting different.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
So, this hyper personalization assumes that you've found your final choice place. Indian consumer is not there. Indian consumer is yet dating and flirting with her food habits and is enjoying this
lovely.
plethora of choices that we get. So you're so right. Our dining tables at home are now like food court tables.
Interesting.
We eat together because we are family, but doesn't mean we have to eat the same thing.
Same, yeah.
One person can have chola bhature and one person can have pasta on the same table and be happy and share the same pictures on the family groups. To me, it means that I have to, and I like it when people switch from atta to multigrain atta to quinoa to completely lentil based and to almond flour in their
Yes,
journey,
yes.
because from the same need, I, the seller, I'm making more and more money for the same hunger. Do roti khana hota hai, but I'm able to get more and more. So I'm the theater of choice. I am the dating platform. I am the monthly swayamvar. I don't want you to settle down. As a consumer, I want you to enjoy this
Lovely.
thing of choice. So this whole thing of saying, I know what the consumer wants, I will give it to her. ये अभी time है.
Doesn't really work that way.
Because this consumer incomes are increasing, this consumption is new. She wants to enjoy the sense of choice.
Right.
So we keep creating this theater, and I know that dating is more exciting. Yeah, it's also more expensive, and therefore those who provide services make more money. If I move the consumer from who walks into my store with Hamam or Lux on her list, and I move her to Dove, Haste Khelte, I'm not going by data. I'm going by nudging her to move up. And I know, and Unilever also knows, that when a consumer moves from Lux to Dove, the profit per bath goes up 450%.
Correct.
So,
and once a consumer's moved, it's very rarely they want to come down, because now you were seeking that premium experience.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, so I mean, we are all, see this upgrade and premiumization. What are they? They are expressions by which we are talking to ourselves and saying, हमारे अच्छे दिन आ गए हैं. I can afford this.
Yes.
I can do everyday joy in these small things. So it's a continuous process upwards. And abhi to, you know, first Kiwis and first people are learning to say guacamole without an accent.
Yeah.
So so to say that I know who likes avocados and I'm going to sell avocados to them is saying the 100 times the number of people who can be nudged to consume avocados, you will miss out. So I won't worry about even consumers who shop in our most premium format like Fresh Pick are upgrading all the time, are discovering all the time. So I don't want her to settle down, and therefore I don't
I love
want
this
her
flirting and the whole theatre.
Yeah.
Interesting, really. Super. So, Damodar, that's where the formats that I want to bring in now, that there are different formats, and I've seen it. We had the smaller to supermarkets to hypermarkets, and I've seen that play. But what is happening in India now with the whole new, and then came the e-commerce, and now the whole quick commerce, which is absolutely disrupting even our food habits too. So, and I actually see, so I have this team members and the younger ones कि saucepan लगा दिया, noodles बनाने थे, Maggi अब Maggi ही नहीं है. And so that's the kind of, behavior that suddenly, I mean, that's not how it was. Today also for me, when I'm on the way home and my cook will call, कि but भाभी ना अब ये लेके आइए. I said, why haven't you planned? All weekend was there. But that's the behavior, even our cooks are changing, the consumers changing. So when we see now the newer formats that has come in, do you still see the smaller shops, and that's a constant conversation, still surviving? Because people now, everything, it's on your fingertip and digital.
Yeah.
So how do you see?
I love what quick commerce is doing because I just mentioned about this flirting, etc. Quick commerce is the Tinder.
It's a Tinder. I love it.
I see it, I swipe it, it is done.
Yes.
It's the shortest distance between desire and consumption,
Right.
which is a good thing. And earlier this was available, it is available even now, for necessities of life. I want a bread, I want a toothpaste, I want soap or shower gel. My kirana will deliver in 10 minutes. It is always done
Yes,
without
it
a
was
fuss.
there on the call.
Without a fuss.
Yes.
The good part is quick commerce is doing that to D2C brands. Quick commerce is doing that to aspirational things. Quick commerce is doing that to sourdough bread. And therefore it's interesting that I have water on the saucepan and then I call Maggi makes for a good story. In grocery retail, eventually the core of the consumption is from the households.
The monthly basket you're talking.
The दो बच्चे, एक बच्चा going to school, settled household is what is the core of grocery sector consumption. Those homes are not run like this, even amongst millennials.
Okay.
There is always a planned part of the basket and there is always a top-up part of the basket. So top-up has become super powerful and zingy with quick commerce, etc. But the planned basket stays. And
So you're not seeing any change on the footfall or anything that disturbs your
in value stores like this, no.
smaller.
But the point is the consumer has one more choice. It leads to overall consumption increase. It leads to she getting used to having more aspirational products. Then it is for incumbent formats or the new formats to learn to serve this in interesting ways and in viable ways. Yeah. Eventually, for scale, the consumer model and the business model have to meet at the same place.
Right.
Yeah. There are consumer side costs of quick commerce also, and this is a very very interesting space which I keep doing it, and even as I work on the next book, which is Super App Wala versus Supermarket Wala.
I was going to ask you
I
that.
study this. So there are cognitive costs of buying on quick commerce. There is a delivery consumer end cost of delivery.
Absolutely, both acquisition
You are
and
being
last
interrupted.
mile.
No, so I'm saying no cost of delivery. Business end सब लोग बात करते हैं. CAC, customer acquisition cost, delivery, वो सब लोग बात करते हैं. If you are a woman or a man, to be interrupted from what you are doing with deliveries all the time
Yes.
has its cognitive cost. If you are a woman, most homes don't have full-time help. So the woman of the house is opening the door. If woman is opening the door, there is a vanity checklist. She is opening door to stranger delivery people. Each woman has a vanity checklist. Where is my dupatta? How is my hair? She is going through that. That is fatigue. That is a cost that nobody talks about.
Interesting. Yeah.
And that will define where the equilibrium finally, dating is also exhausting.
Yeah.
When you want to settle down, you want to settle down to a thing that is optimal. So the cognitive, it is zingy for me to say, man mein aaya, order kar diya. Yeah. But it takes me, it is a full cognitive act of me participating in the app, looking for it, ordering, payment, worrying during payment. All of us worry, even if the payment is with one button, all of us worry.
Yes, yes.
At the moment of going through all that. And then in cognitive terms, you're also hooked, right? You're tracking the delivery, things that and the other. It is the same thing as the real behavior.
Yes, it is. Yes.
You are hooked, it's dopamine, you like it, but then over a period of time, it fatigues you. So, इसमें picture बाकी है. There is a cost of convenience, there is a cost of what you have to pay for. There is the thrill of empowerment that I have a choice at my fingertips. There is cognitive cost and there is the vanity cost of delivery, receiving delivery each time and interruption cost. ये सब मिला के equilibrium will get established where we will probably know in a few
Yet
quarters.
to see. But does it put a pressure on a shop floor for a smaller store to really put the inventory? Because today, because people don't have patience, even now because we are used to, and like we were just discussing, people have 2 or 3 apps, and so there is absolutely no loyalty. I'm standing at the shop floor. If I don't get it, I'll go online, pick up and buy. So, and I also hear, in Diwali people are buying iPhone and iPhone 16, and it's crazy things that we are seeing. Again, I understand it's vanity, but does it put a pressure on a store to really have your shelves with
Good
the
pressure.
item?
I'm saying this is good pressure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the lethargy which was shaping in.
One thing that is for sure is the size of the pie is increasing. Yeah. Which way the pie is cut and who gets how much share, people have to be good at their jobs and people have to compete for that customer's attention. But all this is happening so if I'm a good kirana, then I've already upgraded myself. The impulse product aisles, the biscuits and the namkeens and chocolates in my store are already self-service because that's where higher sales can happen.
Yes.
I already have my catalog of essentials on WhatsApp, which all my customers have, and I'm delivering in 20 minutes. So yes, it is moving from lethargy. You can define it like that, but it is just staying relevant and being with times. And some of the biggest use cases of e-commerce, which you don't count as e-commerce, is actually the WhatsApp commerce that millions of kiranas are doing, and it's everywhere.
Nice. Yes.
And I have a fun way of observing this. I have an aunt who lives in Bikaner, and she has a smartphone. Her way of shopping is she writes down her list of shopping, then clicks a picture, WhatsApp it to the kirana. He picks the order. If he has to substitute something, he makes a video call and shows her the change that he is making.
Yes.
He sends the product home with a link on which she pays the money. We call it kirana. We don't call it e-commerce because we don't know how to measure it. Every step of this transaction is in today's digital India.
Yeah, it is. You're right.
But we don't know the bhasha, we don't know the measures.
So that is your innovation.
So to me, that is moving with the times, moving with the fact that we are the post-geo economy.
Yes.
Everybody is very friendly with data, and digital se kisi ko fear nahi hai. We are probably the deepest digital users in the world now, even at our income levels. And those retailers, kirana kind, e-commerce kind, quick commerce kind, supermarket kind, those who move with the times, stay relevant, will have a greater share of this rising pie.
On that note, Damodar, coming to you as a leader, because your ideas as a, the kind of nuances that you're looking at, and you are running a large format, thousands of stores, thousands of employees. How do you, because that 40-50 in the boardroom who's working with you, vis-a-vis all people on the shop floor, really talking the same language, having that culture. So culture becomes a core in any organization. And with so much of disruption constantly happening, but still the fundamentals that you're talking about, how do you go around, ensuring that that still happens? Or the same language down on the shop floor?
So absolutely. When you are when you are running a very large team, you have to run it through shared belief, culture, uh, and that gets disseminated through symbols, rituals, and stories. Yeah, all large ideas have got disseminated and have got followers through symbols, rituals, and stories.
Right.
Uh, so we have to keep doing that continuously. Therefore, the fact that barring for shoots like this, you will never see me in the store without the associate uniform. Uh, uh, the fact that all leaders, when they are visiting stores, will always make time at one store to do one-on-one talk with 6 store associates. What I actually enjoy and I feel very empowered about is this whole digital superhighways that we have in our lives. And what I find is my own communication based on my belief about Indian opportunity and how retail is run, when I put it out there in social media, is picked by more store associates of mine
Yes, true.
than what goes through the L&D formal channels as communication. So I think this whole life has become audiovisual. People at all levels have become video literate and are consuming content, etc.
Content, yes.
Just enables this shared values thing to go down further and deeper. And there are in any large organization there are the modules and methods of looking after not only looking after your large number of associates, but also ensuring camaraderie, ensuring communication of shared goals and things like that. Those exist, but thank God for the digital world. It just makes it easy.
Yes, you're right, because you can just put it on LinkedIn, you can put your content and people are listening to you. Now, coming to the whole, whilst it's a success and lots of success, there are also a lot of failures. So, on the hindsight, because, all these, I always feel the large retail, modern retail have missed the disruption bus, whether it was e-commerce, now the quick commerce. Do you feel that, had you been part of it from beginning and seen it, or being the follower and not being the leader in that, has it really affected you, or the kind of failures that you've seen, if you can speak about that?
Yeah. So on business models, etc., I think the fact is when I started my retail, that was the disruption.
Yes.
Yeah, that was the thing that
That was the
people
new-
said, we don't know why will it work. We don't know why will customer come, and we don't know why will brands like someone talking now a different language
Right.
compared to the way the kirana
Kirana is,
shoppers. So that was the disruption. Uh, so on models, not sure whether ignoring a change and not learning to ride it is dangerous, and that's not a thing we have done. Yeah. What failure, large and substantial failure that comes back to me even today is a business decision, not so much a consumer model decision, that I created a concept, that I made it successful, that I established its immensely scalable potential. And then I didn't have the guardrails in my first venture to protect my interest and ensure that due to my naivety, somebody would not take it away. That to me is a thing that really was a big setback and learning for me. The world was also different. Today, it would be the smallest of startup founder would know how to protect her or his interest, and how the IP developed would not get taken away, etc. It's elementary. But back then, I did not even have as much as a non-compete. So that was silly. That was stupid on my part, and it's been a setback back then. But that was a long time back. One has grown and done well.
Sure.
Post that.
But at least, yes, because today there are a lot of people for the startup guys, a lot of people, the whole ecosystem is there to tell. So yes, I was asking you that how do you keep up the energy with, constantly now learning, relearning, unlearning happens with so much of disruption. What keeps you going?
Yeah, it actually keeps me younger, because if you are challenged and if you're working with and learning from youngsters who start with less baggage, I think I find it energizing. Also, I've always said that consumer retail is a calling. If you don't have it, you shouldn't do it.
Yeah, interesting.
Because apart from the change, etc., the feedback is also so real time.
True.
And if you don't get a high from knowing that I tried something now and, in 2 hours, I've started getting consumer response to it, whether online or whether offline. If you don't get a high of that, then this is not for you.
Not the place.
Yeah. Apart from other things like, when the rest of the community is on holidays and celebrating Diwali, those are the biggest working days for you. So ये सब मिला के, I think retail is a calling, and for me, change and responding to change and continuously improving
Keeps you excited.
Is a good influence in life.
Amazing. So, Damodar, you've worked with stalwarts in retail with, R.K. Damani, whether it was Mr. Kishore Biani, now Mr. Mukesh Ambani, and working with those kind of stalwarts, and also you being the leader yourself. What have you learned, and how do you manage that pressure?
No, there is no pressure, no. But they're all very different people, and also,
Yes.
I've worked with them at different phases of my journey, and also different times in the Indian consumer's journey, consumer opportunities journey. So there is no split screen kind of comparison that can.
But different
that can
styles,
happen.
right?
Totally different
Very
styles.
optimistic, Mr. Biani, Mukesh Ambani, of course,
Totally different, and if I have to say that, what do I, if there is one thing that I can take from each of these people, what would I do? Then from Mr. Damani, I would take the dogged simplicity of strategy.
Right.
And
The success of DMart.
If it's not simple, I'm not doing it. Oftentimes, taking that approach to an opportunity is a very important thing to do. From Mr. Biani, I would say this whole my habit of saying confidence of betting on Indian cultural insights. That आपको समझता है तो आप you'll be able to build something out of it. I think that's the thing I would take from him, and from Mr. Ambani, the sheer audacity of scale,
Yes.
the fearlessness to do everything at India scale and global scale. I think that's it feels like in this phase at Reliance Retail, I have moved from Shivaji Park to Lords.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I might be doing the same batting, I might be the same person, but
The stadium has
I'm
changed.
playing on I'm painting on a canvas which is much larger,
That's right.
and I don't have to worry. I think that's the thing I take from this is not just Mr. Ambani, but what Reliance stands for on the whole. So
Also, any consumer insights? So I remember when at Hypercity, a lot of these big basket all when they were trying and they were picking up from our stores and learning. And that day also, those time I used to say that in the Indian habit of touch and feel vegetables, you online to hoga nahi, it will take time, and I was wrong. So any such insights that you have because you were such a strong consumer, insider, but anything that you really felt strongly and has actually been wronged.
So one prominent thing, and I think I mentioned it earlier as well, is I had run specific experiments and written about it in my book, which said that people will not buy anything from refrigerators in India.
The frozen thing that you spoke.
And the title of my chapter in the book, which I would now want to remove, is Thanda Matlab Basi. Today we find uh, people are buying fruits, people are buying dairy products,
Dairy
people are
products.
buying sprouts, people are buying batter, people are buying part cooked pastes and things of that kind from chillers without hesitation. So there is still from Thanda Matlab Basi, I have moved to chilled is a new fresh. Hopefully, in a few years, I would be able to say things like this with for frozen as well. But I think the cultural insistence on fresh food in India, in one form or the other, I don't see it going in a hurry.
It's not going on.
And I see this even in the Indian stores in the US. There is aisles full of frozen parathas and things like that. And there is a tandoor in the corner which is doing fresh roti. There is nobody at those aisles, and there is a queue in front of the tandoor which is giving out fresh roti. So there is something, that and saying, hiring services to make sure my food is cooked for me, every meal is cooked for me, fresh. I think there is a cultural thing to it.
Cultural thing.
But Thanda no longer is basi, and chilled is a new fresh.
Amazing. And I know I see you were talking about frozen, the whole supply chain is actually now, there's a lot of work happening in the back end to get the frozen supply right for it to come in the consumer's plate. Coming to my last question on this segue is the 7-Eleven stores. So India still had Kirana stores and Reliance has got 7-Eleven to India. It is so popular in Asia, Southeast Asia, North America. We still don't see that kind of, uptake in 7-Eleven in India. Whilst it started with a lot of, dhol nagara, but I don't see it. So what is happening there?
The same thing as what I said in the beginning of our chat is you need to shape it for the Indian consumer. Just copy pasting a model, assuming that the consumer is ready, is not going to work. So we are doing exactly that. We now know where 7-Eleven works, also where it doesn't work. So that way the recipe is being built in a pilot called, by Reliance standard, pilot is in the city of Mumbai and Pune. That's where the thing is. We are building it because it's modernity. The thing about Asia and India is people like to shop in the neighborhoods. People like to shop more often.
Yes.
But Indians don't miss convenience stores because we are an over-retailed country. The number of stores per 1,000 population, because of our Kirana store density,
stores, yes,
is the highest in the world. So nobody is missing access. But formats like 7-Eleven add modernity to it, add more ready food to it. So this will evolve. There's another angle which is uniquely Indian, and that angle is called MRP. In India, you cannot charge for convenience. In a typical 7-Eleven, the price of a can of Coke would be 20-25% more than the price at a supermarket. In India, you have to still sell at an MRP. To me, it's the MRP cap and therefore inability to charge a premium is not a 7-Eleven problem. It's a Kirana problem as well.
Yes.
And that they have to deliver all the services and yet they cannot charge a premium for it. So that remains a uniquely Indian friction for more convenient things to sell.
And surprisingly, the same consumer is today learning to pay or is okay to pay the service fee on the online D2C model. But somehow, in the store, yes, that
Picture abhi baki hai.
I know, picture baki hai.
This as with competition,
That will also be.
all these things will be threatened. If I'm the sixth player in a category,
That will be the value.
I will play lower cost, right?
Correct.
So I will play lower charges. So there is, and this consumer will switch to,
Will switch.
And the hassle about MRP that I mentioned as a friction for Kirana stores or for 7-Eleven applies to quick commerce as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's true.
You cannot sell, and you have to therefore the premium. You have to show it as this or that or the other, which the consumer says, I'm not buying the platform. Why are you charging me for the platform? I'm buying biscuits. So charge me for the biscuits. So yeah,
That
this
you're right.
will get played out
No,
differently.
it is. That you are right. Coming now quickly to, what our listeners can learn from you. So if you had to teach a course on retail and resilience, what would be your 3 key modules there?
I would take resilience from the title of the. It's got nothing to do with retail. It's anything that you want to do in business and life. Resilience is a leadership trait and a component of it. And if I have to teach retail, the modules would be consumer behavior and decoding, technology and supply chain, and building and succeeding with large teams. I think if you cover these 3 modules, then you can win in retail.
Interesting. And Damodar, what would you advise to somebody, because you started 3 decades back, today somebody who's coming in retail, and what would be your advice to them for this generation, this time?
Solve for India, create for India. I think the size of prize is worth it. Also in many ways, and we spoke some of this, many ways this is a unique market.
Yes,
This is a digital first consumer already.
already, yes.
So get inspired by everything else that is happening in the world. But just like you don't have to even step out of the US market to be the world's largest store player, retail player, or world's largest e-commerce player. The domestic market is large enough and
Large
takes you
enough.
global scale. Yeah, you don't need Jai Ho to be noticed by the world for a genius like Rahman to be global scale. He's already global scale only when India is consuming. So I would say for anyone creating now, get inspired by what others are doing, but solve for India because it is unique in many habits and it will continue to assert. The more confident it gets, the consumer will continue to assert and have her way. And if you're creating in India, then you actually have a resident advantage to be able to do that. So, and do it fast.
Do it
I
fast.
think if there is one thing I would do if I had to do it again, I would do everything I did faster.
And on that note, we will move to our rapid fire. So now, Damodar, for some fun stuff and rapid fire for you.
Fire.
Yes. So your guilt pleasure aisle in the store.
In a fun way, I say to my team that I get to chase women in my stores, observe them, watch everything that they do, and get paid for it.
Wow, yes, amazing. So that's your guilt pleasure. What's the one product that you think is still overpriced?
Several. So in the supermarket aisles, I would say, and we say this to our brand partners, newer ideas like detergent pods.
Yes.
or period panties. We think they're so relevant and the consumer is so ready. Unnecessarily keeping them overpriced is missing an opportunity.
Agree, absolutely. If you describe the Indian shopper in one word,
Emerging and asserting. 2 words, asserting emphasis.
what is your go-to place, when you are overwhelmed from work and you need a break? Where do we find Damodar?
If I'm in a different place, then in a store that I've never been to.
Used to be in a store.
Uh, but otherwise, on an everyday basis, uh, the funny fumbling keyboard music that I play.
Oh, lovely. Yes. Yeah. That's a new skill, or you love music?
Yeah, no, it's a skill that I learned recently, and I'm bad at. So
One word people used to describe you or your team describes you as?
supermarket wala.
Supermarket wala. Now, wonder if it was not supermarket, ever you thought, what else would you be doing? Or this is your calling?
I would be in some consumer facing business, very high probability, something that I founded and I created as my own business.
Oh, nice. Are you still looking at doing your own 2.0, 3.0 version?
You never say no.
Never say never.
But I'm right now having a ball, so it's fine.
A street food that you can't say no to?
I'm a regular Indian consumer, and therefore chaat and pan. I hope more brands modernize it. I hope people brand it better. People give it to me in today's ways better. But chaat and pan.
Yeah, I totally relate there. I was in London and I saw one pani puri. I said, I have to eat, even I don't care what price I'm paying.
Yeah, so pan is probably the most unsafe street food that people of all incomes are having in India, but yet not giving up on it.
That's true. A habit that you picked up from your parents?
It's okay to say where you come from. It's okay to wear your cultural identity with confidence. It's a thing they did it without calling it names or labels, but it's a thing I've picked up. And I think it's also a thing that Indian consumer does. As she's emerging, she's becoming more and more confident.
I agree. And what's more exciting, 50% or buy one, get one?
Oh, it's not about excitement. Here I can tell you data. And because this is part of our job, so we do it with pilots and data and measure. The same product at the same price, you put 50% off one day and you put buy one, get one on another day, another equivalent day. The sales is higher when you say buy one, get one by 24%. I know data.
Amazing. That's just a perception shift that you're doing. Amazing. And Damodar, if you were a movie, what would you be? That's my question.
Supermarket wala.
Supermarket wala. Awesome on that note. And you are a true masterclass. So thank you so much. I'm sure my listeners will really enjoy a lot of nuggets. And I love the flirting part because that's what people forget. That, you get tried and tested. You have to keep evolving, keep flirting. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was fun chatting with you, Darshan.